Now, on our journey, if you do happen to have any questions, again, my name is Captain John. Feel free to come to the wheelhouse and ask. Restaurants. Okay, here's a hot tip for you. See over there to the left of that truck is with the green sign says something juicy. Go down that street. I'll follow this street a block and a half on the left to run right into DJ's Clam Shack. Featured in Guy Fieri show drivers, dine-ins and dives. Their lobster roll sandwich won first prize at the Seafood Festival of St. Augustine about 2 weeks ago. That's about the honor. If you go down there, you can tell them that Captain John for the picture sent you. They'll take extra good care of you. Coming up is the Castillo de San Marcos, built by the Spaniards in 1672, completed in 1695. The fort is built out of a shell rock called coquina, Spanish word meaning tiny shells. The fort was built by the local indigenous people, the Temecula's and the freed American slaves. The Spaniards paid them $1 real a day, equivalent to 20 cents, and he also gave them a ration of broiling fish every day for their work. Now, if you go by there, you'll notice there's no water inside the boat. The Spaniards designed like this to keep the livestock safe while the city came under siege. Also, if you look behind those trees right there, you see a chimney sticking up. This is a cannonball furnace built through the Union occupation. That lined the whole seawall up with these big cannons. They put the cannonballs in the furnace. When they shot them out, that's what they called a hot shot. Now, 2 years after the Spaniards had completed Castillo, 2 years after the Spaniards had completed the Castillo, the British did come under siege by, the Spanish came under siege by the British. Now, they didn't last very long. They ran out of ammunition and food. They left. However, the Spaniards did give the territory of Florida over to the English for 21 years, all done by a treaty, eventually giving it back to the Spaniards in exchange for the Bahama Islands. In 1821, the Spaniards sold the territory of Florida to the United States government for $5 million. I turned the volume up in the front down there, guys, so if it's not loud enough, just let my mate know and we'll crank it up another notch. St. Augustine all our lives, and our family's been here since the 1700s. Now, just past in the trees is the Fountain View Archaeological Park. Some of the activities included over there: cannon firing, musket firing, a reenactment of a Native American village, archaeological digs, and a planetarium explaining how ancient mariners travel around the world using the stars and the ocean's currents. Check out all the signs over here on the beach. You'll see these all around our beaches right now, put out by the wildlife biologists in preparation for the return of the South Atlantic Let's Turn. Thousands of these birds will flock our beaches for about 2.5 to 3 months, digging little holes in the sand, laying their eggs. They'll be here probably till about midsummer, and then they'll leave and take off back for South America. Now, if you look over to the left, you'll see some orange roofs and some stadium lights. This is a Florida school for the deaf and the blind. The school actually started back in the 1800s. 1892, 93, somewhere there with just a few kids. Today, over 600 students attend this school every year. Over to the left is the Francis and Mary Uzina Bridge. The Uzina family actually owns the boat you're on today. They moved here in the 1700s with my family. 1800s, later 1800s, Captain Uzina found an old boat, fixed it up, called it the Victory Number 1. The Victory Number 1 was used until 1915 when they built their second boat, a double-deck woodside seated boat called the Victory Number 2. Gosh, I used to ride around that boat all the time. Finally taken out of service in 1985, we replaced it with this boat, the Victory 3. The Victory 3 is still a family-run business, and the family still lives at Milana Beach. We do have a couple of restaurants up there in case you're thinking about dinner later on. We have an oceanfront restaurant called The Reef. It's right about 2.5 miles north on A1A of the bridge. And if you want something down on the river to watch the sunset, go to our little restaurant there called Aunt Kate's. Right on the water, you can sit outside underneath the oak trees. What a beautiful view you'll have tonight. Right off our bow, nowhere near the lighthouse, which is way down there to the right. That inlet down there was shielding up, sandbars were forming, boats were getting stuck. So in 1940, the Army Corps of Engineers got a hole right through the sandbar right here. It is tried to maintain at about 50 feet in the middle. In 1940s, the second largest industry in St. Augustine was the shrimping industry. Over 300 shrimp boats worked out of our port. Half a dozen families were building shrimp boats that run the seafood markets in the San Sebastian River. state parks in Florida. This ranks in the top 5. From these rocks to the entrance is about 3 or 4 miles if you hike it. You don't see any trucks or cars out there at all. Since the 1990s, they stopped all driving on the beach. The interior is called Salt Run. This is a recreational area for boaters. In the summertime, on the weekends, this place is absolutely packed with people back here sunbathing and fishing. My wife and I were driving on the beach the other day, and we started to see a lot of turtle nests. Turtle season lasts through early summer, and then the eggs incubate probably within about 60 to 90 days, somewhere around there. Now, the turtle biologist for this area over here is a friend of mine, and she told me something quite interesting about turtle nests. The temperature of the sand and the eggs you're incubating in will determine whether the turtles are born male or female. For example, with the sand temperature at 85 degrees and above, predominantly those turtles are going to be born female. Anything below 85 degrees, predominantly going to be born male. Now, if you look over here in the shrubbery, it looks like there might have been a fire in here. Well, there was, about 2 weeks ago. The Division of Forestry does what they call controlled burns to burn out a lot of the underbrush around the forest and the trees in Florida. This is to help to be able to control the areas in case of the wildfire. We had a wildfire here in Florida in the 1990s, and every major interstate in and out of the state of Florida had to be closed down because of the smoke and the flames. glass marina right off our bow for one of the largest collection of charter boats in St. Augustine. And a lot of the guys are out fishing today, guys and the girls. They're catching some mahi-mahi, kingfish, tuna fish. Hurricane Matthew came through here about 8 years ago. What a mess that was. The boats that did decide to stay here, which wasn't very many, they stay right here at the dock, or they watch them on the beach. Now, if you look in front of you, you'll see a beautiful fishing boat, and this style boat is called a center console, but this one is on steroids. This is the Yellowfin, 53 foot. It's got a flying bridge at the top. It's got 4 outboards on the back. Each one of those outboards is a V10. You put out 600 horsepower each. Imagine that, 2,400 horsepower. A boat like that right there with all the bells and the whistles, close to $2 million. Augustine, built in 1872, completed in 1874. The lighthouse is 165 feet tall, and if you want to climb to the top, there's 219 steps to get to the observation deck. The lens on the top is called a Fresnel lens. That lens came from France. Those crystals will shine a beam of light about 20 miles offshore. Now, back in 1970, somebody had vandalized the lighthouse keeper's home. Nobody lived there anymore, and there was a fence around the property until 1981, when the United States Coast Guard leased the property to St. Johns County, with the help of the Ginger Service League and some other wealthy contributors. They fixed the whole property up, and I think it's one of the best museums in St. Augustine. top, that two-story house used to be a Navy Coast Guard radio station where the orange roof house is at today was where the antenna was. In World War II, they took the antenna down, they sold the house off to my friend's grandfather. My friend Kathy Jones lives in that house. My house is right across the street. Past there is White House Park Restaurant. My mom and dad opened up in 1992. Now being leased out to the St. Augustine Yacht and Sailing Club. In front of the property, we got a fishing pier, a boat ramp, and in the back, there is a beautiful oak